Hello guys, you're welcome once again to mathskeypoints. We shall be treating inverse variation part 2. For those that missed the part 1, you can go back and watch the video. Don't forget, this is the channel for the solution to O-level mathematics exam questions for WAEC, NECO and JAM. Let's go right in to solve more examples. So let's take the third question. We have treated 1 and 2 in part 1. The question says, if y varies inversely as the square of x and y is equal to 1/4, when x is equal to 4, find the value of y when x is equal to half. Now let's proceed. Y is inversely proportional towards the square of x. This simply means that y is equal to k divided by what? X squared. Now the question says y is what? 1/4 when x is what? 4. Now we are looking for what? K, the constant of what? Proportionality. Now 1/4 is equal to k divided by what? 4 squared, because y is 1/4 and x is equal to what? 4 squared. Going further, we have 5 divided by 4 is equal to k divided by 16. How did we get this? 4 times 1 is what? 4, plus 1 is what? 5. So we have 5/4. The denominator remains the same. Here 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is what? 16. Because there's an equality sign here, what do? We cross multiply. Cross multiplying gives us k times 4 is equal to what? 5 times 16. Going further, we now have that k times 4 is equal to what? 4k, and 5 times 16 gives us what? 80. We want k to be alone, but 4 is attached to k. What do? We divide both sides by what? 4, which now gives us our k as equal to what? 20. But we know that from here y is equal to what? K divided by what? The square of x. And we are asked to find y. Very simple. We know the value of k. We also know the value of x as what? Half. All you need to do is just to insert what? The values. So going further, we have that y is equal to what? 20 divided by what? The square of what? X, which is half in this case. So we have half squared. Going further, this is now equal to 20 divided by 1/4, because 1/2 squared means 1/2 times 1/2. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 2 is what? 4. That is how we got 1/4. Going further, y is equal to what? 20. This 20 times, because we are taking this denominator up, it will now change to what? Times 4/1. 1/4 is now what? Times 4/1, which is equal to what? 80. Don't be confused. 20/1 is the same thing as 20. So 20 times 4 is equal to what? 80, and 1 times 1 is equal to what? 1. We don't normally write the 1, so y is equal to what? 80. So the question says find the value of y when x is half. Therefore y is equal to what? 80. Now let's go to question 4. It says if v varies inversely as a square root of h and v is equal to 5 when h is equal to 64, find a, the law connecting v and h, and b, the volume of h when v is equal to 1/3. This simply means that v varies inversely as the square root of h implies that v is equal to what? K times 1/the square root of h, which is equal to k divided by the square root of h. We need to look for k. Now from here they said the v is 5 and the h is what? 64. So 5 is equal to k divided by the square root of 64. And we know that the square root of 64 is what? 8. 8 times 8 gives us what? 64. Now this simply means that 5 is equal to k divided by 8. Cross multiplying, we now have that k is equal to what? 5 times 8, which is what? 40. Now we have known the value of k, the constant of what? Proportionality. So let's go now answer the first question. They say find the law connecting V and H? Very simple, but we know that V is equal to what? K divided by the square root of H. This simply implies that our V is now equal to 40 divided by the square root of H. Let's proceed to the next question. Find the value of H when V is equal to 1/3. Now, but we know that V is equal to 40 divided by what? The square root of H. And V was given as one whole number 3/5 or 1/3. This is now equal to what? 40. 40 is the value of K. Now we are looking for what? H. But H has what? A square root sign. So don't be scared. Let's proceed. This implies that one whole number 3/5 is the same thing as what? 8/5. How? 5 times 1 is 5 plus what? 3. That gives you 8/5, which is equal to 40 over the square root of H. Going further, we cross multiply. We have that 8 times the square root of H is equal to 40 times what? 5. This simply means 8 times the square root of H is equal to what? 200. How? 5 times 40 is equal to what? 200. Now, we want H to be alone. What do? But 8 is attached to H. So we divide both sides by what? 8. Dividing both sides by 8 gives us that the square root of H is equal to 200 divided by 8. So we continue. If the square root of H is equal to 200 divided by 8, it simply means that H raised to the power half is equal to 200 over 8. How? The square root of H is the same thing as H raised to the power half. Just take note of that. Going further, we have that H raised to the power half is equal to what? 25. Because 200 divided by 8 is equal to 25. Also note that 25 here has a power of what? 1. We don't always write it, so just take note of that. Going further, we want to remove this power half on top of this H. So what do? We multiply the power by 2 so that they can cancel out and H can remain what? Alone. But anything you do to the left hand side, you also do what? To the right hand side. So multiplying the power of H, which is half, by 2 is the same thing as multiplying the power of 25, which is 1, by 2. Now, if you go further, you have that H is equal to 25 times 25. How? These two will cancel out, leaving H raised to power 1, which is the same thing as what? H. And 25 times 25 is what we have, 25 raised to power 2. So that's why we have this. Now 25 times 25, it simply means that our H is now equal to what? 625. Now let's take the last question, question 5. It says the number of reams of papers to be produced varies inversely as the cost. At a volume of 50 reams, the cost is 35 naira. Find A, the equation connecting the two quantities. B, the number of reams at a cost of 250 naira. And C, the cost of 700 reams. When you come across a question like this, don't be confused. Take your time to pick out the parameters. Solution. It says that the number of reams of papers to be produced varies inversely as the cost at a volume of 50 reams. So let that number of reams, the volume of the reams, be what? V. And then they say the cost is 35 naira. Let the cost be what? C. So the question says that the volume of the reams varies inversely as what? The cost. So V varies inversely as 1 over C, which simply means that V is equal to K divided by what? C. We need to solve for K. Now, they say the volume was what? 50 reams at the cost of what? 35 naira. So 50 is equal to K divided by 35. So cross multiplying, we have that K is equal to 50 times 35, which gives us 1,750. Now, the equation A says find the equation connecting the two quantities. Because we have known the value of K, all we need to do is to insert it into this first equation. Therefore, our V is equal to 1750 divided by C. This answers the question A. So let's go to question B. It says find the number of rims at a cost of 250 naira. But we know that V is equal to what? 1750 over C. Now they said the number of rims at a cost. So we now know the cost and we also know the value of K. Simple, we insert the values. Therefore, the volume or the number of rims will now be equal to 1750 divided by what? 250. This gives us what? 7. So that is our answer B. Now they say we should go to the cost of 700 rims. Now they want to know the cost, giving you what? The number of rims, which is the volume as what? 700. But our same V is equal to 1750 divided by what? C. Now we are looking for C. What do? We cross multiply and make C what? The subject of the formula. This simply means that C is now equal to 1750 divided by V. And our V is what? 700. So 1750 divided by 700, which is equal to what? 2.5. So therefore, the cost of 700 rims is equal to what? 2 naira 50 kobo. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this channel, and also hit the notification bell so whenever we upload new videos, you'll be notified.